Hey guys, I hope you are doing well and I hope you're ready to learn a little bit about grid drawing. I am going to be doing the tutorial for how to create your own grid drawing. And the way that's going to work is you're going to need your computer, your Chromebook, a ruler. You are going to need a pen or a marker to make your grid and a pencil. If you were there the last day that we were in school, then you would have received a copy of a grid paper from me and you would have attached it to your sketchbook. If you already have that, then you are set for this assignment. You should have two grid papers that you can use, one for the practice and one for the actual assignment. I think the trickiest thing about this is how to set up the grid on your picture using this tool called ArtTutor Grid. So I'll show you how to do that on your Chromebook. If you are successful in putting the grid on there, everything else should be easy peasy. However, I always have students that have questions about how to do certain things that maybe you didn't get when I was doing the video on the computer. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to. All right, now I am ready to show you what this is gonna look like on my paper. So I just downloaded that parrot picture again with the 7 boxes and it still cuts off the tail. So I'm not gonna worry about it. It is what it is. 7 boxes, here we go. That has honestly never happened to me. Like, out of all the times I have used this tool, that has never happened. So it's like, really, now that I need you guys to see how well it works, it's not going to work? Oh well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to use a marker. Now here, I already have a grid set up. And it's because I printed this grid before we left. I know each of these is a square. It is fine. So I am just going to select 7 a row of 7 boxes up here, and I'm gonna make sure I look at my picture and I count the right number of rows as well. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. So it's a 7 by 6 picture. So what I am going to do next is I'm gonna take, in this case, the chisel tip of my marker, and I'm going to start, let's see, if this is my middle one, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I am going to start right here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I gotta go 6 down. So 3 and 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and this area is not a very big work area. You guys have seen my tablet stand, you know there's not a lot of room, so I have to move the paper around a little bit. Alright, and then I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom because it ends with the 7, so. Alright, there we go. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to do this in marker, just to make it easier for myself, I am going to number the rows and the columns. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to actually label the columns with letters. So I can go back and reference my picture and say, oh, 1B, this is what it looks like. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I know if you guys watch the Edpuzzle video, they also mentioned that it is always a good idea when you're starting with grid drawings, especially if you have a lot of squares in a grid, you have to label them so that you can go back and say, oh, there's something off on C3, and you can do that on your screen as well or on your reference picture. I think for those of you that have maybe a printer at home, and I don't have a printer at home, or I would probably be printing out my parrot picture as well. But if you have a printer at home and you can print out the picture, even if it's in black and white, Actually, you shouldn't waste color ink for this, just do it in black and white. But if you have one at home, I would suggest you print the picture and label the boxes. It will make your life so much easier if you do that. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we are getting ready to start with our drawing. So I am going to start by going row by row and line by line. Now some boxes there might be nothing, so I just leave it blank and carry on. I'm literally going from left to right, box by box, horizontally and down. So in my first box, when I am looking at my screen, I can see that I have something, this line that comes diagonally over here. It's not quite in the corner. It's almost like to the middle of the box. And it goes up, almost touches the other end of the box. And it curves. And then I have another one that comes over here. And I guess I could do this if I wanted to. I'm not going to add all the shading in there for the parrot. This is just an exercise, like a practice exercise. So I just want you to try to have fun with it. That's the most important. And then I have this last one that comes like this. That is like the last wing. Now, when I go over to the next one, I can see that I have a line that comes to about here. So this line, I gotta make sure I connect it, and it comes here because it's going to cross over into this one. And see, I can already tell this was off, but this is helping me anyway. So I am going to erase that little line that I made initially. I'm going to make sure this line is correct because I know over here in the next square, I can see it at the bottom is going to dip. Now I'm going to go to square C1 or 1C, and I can tell that over here in this area of the square, there's a line that's coming up like this, and it is going to come down here. It doesn't make it quite to the corner. It gets cut off and it's part of the other wing. And then I have another like feather over here that comes like this and intersects over here. And then I have this other feather that's like wildly coming out and comes to about here. So I have the other three feathers from my wings at this point. Now I'm going to go over to D1, and in D1 we have yet another line that kind of ends like this. Actually, this would have been too close. It's closer to the middle, so it ends right there. And I go to E1, there's nothing. I go to F1, it's blank. G1, it's blank. Now I'm going to go to A2. Now in A2, I can see that there is this line that comes over here, but it doesn't quite reach the other side. It is met by or actually it does, because I guess it's part of the feather. So let me draw that. And then we have another feather right here that kind of comes off very close to the edge, to the top edge of my square, and then it comes down like this. And then we have a third one that's coming like this. And then that's it, thankfully. That is it for all the feathers in that square. And you know, if you say, well, mine doesn't quite look like that, Miss Press, it's not going to be 100% accurate. I do not suggest this method of drawing, but I think for those of you that struggle with visual spatial relations, this is definitely going to be the better method to learn how to draw. Or it might be, you know, there's no certain answer. Each person's brain works differently, but I think for those of you that have a hard time seeing things from real life and translating that into a 2D drawing, I think this is going to be a lot easier. All right, now I'm moving on to B2. And in B2, I can already tell I did something off with this. And I'm going to tell you what I did wrong. So over here, my eye tells me this wing is bigger than it actually is, that feather. So I am going to fix that. It comes closer to here actually. It doesn't quite angle down. the light and the colors make it seem like it angles down, but when I look at the line only and I use my lovely squinting method, I know that it doesn't angle that much. Now when I go over to this square, this is going to be more accurate. So we have another feather that comes like this, and then the little tip of a feather that goes like this. And if you want, you can take the time to draw all the individual feathers. If you don't want to do that, that is okay. I don't blame you for it. I don't think you need all the feathers individually there. I just think we need at least like the outline of it for now. All right. Next thing I am going to do is I'm going to move on to C1. Now in C2. Now in C2 over here, I know I have this big line that's coming down here, and it's going to reach over here. So I'm going to draw that line. And over here, I have some more of these feathers. I have this one coming down, and then I have another one that touches there and gets hidden behind this wing over here, the front wing, the wing that's closest to us. All right, so now I am going to move to D2, and in D2, I can see that there was this thing, and it's going to hit right about here, and it's going to be the edge of that wing. So I am just going to draw the line. I am not going to do the details inside. For now, I'm going to skip that. And then there's also going to be this line right here that's going to create a little triangle wedge in here. All right, now I'm going to go to E2, and in E2, oh, thankfully it's like one big line. So there's going to be this line that is going to end up at about here, and it's going to come continuously from here right there. And then there's going to be like this partition in the color. I'm going to include it in there, but I'm not going to be super specific about it. You see like where this is yellow and this turns into that little green color. I'm going to include it in there for now, just sketch it really quickly, but I'm not going to make a big deal about it. All right, and now there's nothing in F2 or G2. Now I'm going to move on to A3. Now in A3, there's nothing. B3, there's something. There is this feather that's coming down here. There is another feather that's going to come like this. And then there is, oh, hold on. And then there is a third feather that's coming like this. And that's it. Now C3 is going to continue with this little feather. There's going to be another one. Actually, this goes deeper in a little bit. There's going to be another one that kind of slants down. And then there's going to be a series of some that slant down like this. And that's it. Over here we have more feather details, but the actual outline stops right there. All right, now in D3, let's see, D3, oh, you know what? Like if I had done the other feathers over here, my eyes are tricking me, guys. All right, C3, if I had done these feathers over here, you see there's a partition of green. I am going to roughly include that there because it comes in here and kind of makes a difference in the wing. So now when we come to D3, now there's something for us to do. And we have these wing details, and you see that it stops right here and then it keeps going. Like there is this light green area. And over here in D3, we have this little part that kind of dips in, and that's the other edge of the wing. Now I'm going to go down to E3. And over here in E3, we also had this edge of the other wing that came over here. And now that's going to like solidify in E3. And you have this kind of like other part of the wing that dips down. And you also have this part of the wing that comes like this. It's kind of like a math graph. Comes down here. And that is it for now. You have this other part that comes over here, and that is it. And it's kind of like all of those things. If you look at this, I'm going to speculate a little bit here, but it's like all of those are meeting between that E and F square, and they slope down really quickly. So the next thing I am going to do is I am going to go to F3 and G3 have nothing. So now I'm going to go down to row number 4. 4A and 4B have nothing. Now 4C or C4 do have something, and it is the sloping of the feathers over here. We have some more, the edge of that wing. We have this big one over here that comes down and slopes. All right, and that is it. And then when I go over here, you have the other edge of those different color feathers, and it kind of makes this shape that meets down here. And then what I'm going to do is just add some edges of the feathers right there very quickly. Over here we don't really have anything. Over here we have the ending of this line that is going to keep sloping down until it comes over here. And then we also have this line right here, which is going to be the neck of our parrot. Yay! So this line keeps sloping over here. And then we have an F4, this line that's gonna come down here. Again, it's the neck of our parrot. And then on the last row, G4, that line is gonna come, actually this would have probably been, nope, this is right. I think it's maybe like a little bit lower than I initially drew it, so I'm going to erase that. And then I am going to redraw my line so that it is just above the half point of my square, but not really far up like I had it initially. All right, very important. My parrot head is going to end about right here, so I'm going to mark that point, and then I am going to draw a curve that meets those 2 points. And that's going to be the top of my parrot head. Now, when you see here, the eye, over here we don't have anything, but we do have an eye happening here, and the eye goes like this. You have the white part of the eye, you have some hair over here, and the bottom of the eye comes down here, and then the black part, and both the white part of the eye and the black part of the eye are going to get kind of cut off. So I am going to draw my circle here, but I know it's going to get cut off right there. All right. I know this looks kind of freaky right now, but let's keep going. We are almost there. So in A5, nothing, B5, nothing, C5, we have some more of those feathers. So I am going to keep adding them as much as I can. And, you know, if I was doing this, like, for my own sake, instead of having to record this, I might take a little bit more time than I am taking right now with you guys, because I know that you don't want to sit here listening to me talk about this for a whole hour. So I am trying to do this as quickly as I can, but also trying to make sure I am being as accurate as possible with the time constraint. So I have made this line over here, and this line that I see in D5 that slopes up like this and meets these feathers right there. And here is the body of my parrot. Now I go down here to E5. There's really, oh, there's a little bit there. There we go. There's a little line there. In F5, we have this little line that is going to slope up, and it makes this really nice curve. And it's going to come up here and here. And now in this part over here, I have the beginning of the bottom of my beak. And now one thing that you can do, if it is too complex for you to draw. Now, I'm used to drawing things from pictures and from real life, so I don't feel like this is that big of a deal for me, but I know some of you might find that very intimidating. So what you can do is you can divide your grid into another set of spaces, and you can use the tools on your computer, the picture tools, to draw some lines on there too, so that you can divide that into like a mini grid to help you draw that. Now I am going to finish over here the eye I had drawn, and this part over here is going to come down. It's going to meet this part of the white eye. There's some wrinkly parts of that bird. There is a little nostril right there. There's some feathery parts happening over here. I think I initially might have made this too big. Alright. And it still looks kind of big compared to that. Oh well. Alright, so I am going to be almost done with this. Alright, now the next part is E6A, nothing. 6B, there is a line that's coming up here. C6, this line gets joined up, and then I have this other line that's coming from the corner, and it makes this like crazy shadow, and it's part of the feathers of my bird. And then let's see, we have another peak of light over here. Now on D6 we have a lot happening. We have first, I'm going to start with the belly line. The belly line is going to go like about here. E6, don't worry, I'll go back to D6. But in E6, we just have this slope line that joins up here. Now in D6, we have a lot happening. And for the sake of your time and mine, if you do not feel comfortable drawing these feet, you can leave them blank. But up until this point, I do expect to see you guys work through your parrot drawing. Like you can tell, at this point, I hate to say this, but I am not even like paying a lot of attention. I am just going by what I know, which is I see and I draw, and that is something that I think would be very hard to communicate online. So I am just going to try to finish this as best as I can. And if you can see that, at least for me, in the bottom of my picture, it seems like that square is a little bit bigger than the rest. Alright, so that is like a rough sketch of the feet. I'm not going to go into more detail about it. Again, if I had to do this again, I would probably make this eye smaller. That is huge. Whatever made me think that was going to be okay. So I'm going to make it again. I'm going to make the white part. Okay, that is much better. That still looks like a crazy bird. I think it's the head. Yep. I think that line of the head was weird. Okay, and now my parrot is done. So I hope you guys have fun with this. Again, make sure you are going row by row and column by column like I just did. Make sure you label them. That is going to help you immensely with this. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email.